our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. Welcome to your Business Morning live here on Channels Television. I am Bosun Amafai. Let's get the show started. Nigeria Statistics Office Chief Executive Dr. Yemi Kale says Nigeria's third quarter GDP reports and third quarter foreign trade in goods data will be out on Monday, the 10th of December. That will be at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the second report at 5 p.m. respectively. Of course, we're expecting the third quarter GDP to be the one released at 9 o'clock, bright and early on Monday, starting your next week business calendar with that GDP data. Later in the day, we have the foreign trade in goods data, and that will set the month on the path of very heavy economic data, which of course we're looking to see some jobs report later in the month. That will be a very heavy one for everyone to digest. So we will be taking that third quarter GDP till early next year, most likely until the election period. Okay, so all that will take to the market street as well from Monday, so you need to keep an eye on that as well. Meantime, Nigeria's National Oil Corporation, NNPC, tells Nigerians to ignore oil marketers' threat to shut down fuel depot in 7 days or do some layoffs because they are owed 800 billion naira by the Nigerian government in subsidies arrears. The NNPC says there will be no petrol scarcity during this holiday season because the state oil firm has enough stock of petrol products to keep the country wet. According to the NNPC, discussions are ongoing with the oil marketers, but no one should engage in panic buying of petrol products because there is enough. Of course, we all know that the NNPC accounts for the jumbo part of petrol products import into Nigeria, and that has been the issue for about a year or more. The days of the oil marketers taking the chunk of the imports, those days are over. But the Depot and Petroleum Products Marketers Association says the delay of the payment of the outstanding subsidies, nearly 800 billion naira, will affect loading of petrol products at the depot. Yes, the NNPC is the one that imports the lion's share of the petrol and diesel and kerosene, but the association of these oil marketers are the ones responsible for the lifting of those products majorly. So we'll see how this goes. Gloves are now coming off between the government and the oil marketers. The oil marketers say they've been in discussion with the government for about a year on the payment of these arrears, which it says hurting them and their balances, the banking with the banks. So they want these issues to be resolved. Meantime, the EFCC, the anti-graft agency, yesterday arraigned 2 oil marketers, Yusuf Kwande and Asahon Asemota, on allegations of stealing 6.4 million metric tons of diesel worth $8.4 million. The accused persons were arraigned alongside 5 companies: Trafigura Biha, Trafigura Pt. Limited, Metal Energy and Gas, Rembrandt Limited, and GL Engineering and Oil Services Limited. Those oil companies, according to the EFCC, were also involved in the fraud. EFCC counsel told the court that the diesel, which was stolen between October 22nd and December 15, 2008, was the property of Nadabo Energy Limited. And keeping it in the oil sector, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry has warned Nigerians that falling oil prices pose major risks to 2019 economic projections and the medium-term expenditure framework, the MTEF, and threatens the new minimum wage negotiations between the government and the labor unions. And getting on a roadshow to talk about Nigeria's mining industry, the Ministry of Mining and Steel Development was at the London Stock Exchange a few days ago to promote investment in Nigeria's mining sector, saying the country is safe and investors can bring their money in and invest in the extractive industry, mainly what you call the metals industry. And that was of course, London Stock Exchange is the home to most of Africa's mining companies doing business across the continent. And Nigeria thinks that's the best way to go to talk to those who are in the heart of the commodities industry. And of course, we talk about the FGN savings bond for the month of December. All of that were part of the market. Let's get the market started. Yesterday, there was a major sell down in stock markets around the world. So if you notice, Nigerian stock market was down about 0.24% to start the week. that was because we were buffeted by the global sell-off. The oil price rally is beginning to soften a little bit. Dollar made a major comeback. Folks around the world believe that the truce, 90-day truce between the U.S. and Beijing over the trade war will be a little bit short-lived. So folks are heading back into some safety net, and that's what happened yesterday. So don't be surprised what Temple Ashajo will be telling you about the Nigerian market on Monday. Temple Ashajo is back at a time when crude oil price is coming back in the green territory and the stock market still taking a beating. That's why he left off about 3 weeks ago. Temple Ashajo, a Channel Television business and markets correspondent, live to us at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Temple, thank goodness you're back in the market at the beginning of December, so we can wrap up the year. We can do all this together till the 31st and into the new year. Welcome back to the program. Bring us up to speed.
So I'm back at a time when we will possibly be seeing some kind of rally, December rally in the market. It's a good time to actually get back to the business with you here on Business Morning. Let's look at the numbers. Yes, yesterday was negative by some 0.24%. The index remained at the 30,000 psychological line, but from what analysts are projecting, it shouldn't go lower than that because historically, the Nigerian Capital Market Stock Exchange specifically is known for a bit of a rally in December like this because, you know, a whole lot of companies really want to dot their I's and, of course, cross their T's in the market. If you look at the equity capitalization yesterday, it's settled at 11.24 trillion naira. But if you take a look at what the year-to-date performance came in at, it was 19.47%, gravitating towards the 20% mark now. That's a particular figure that we have seen the year-to-date returns of the market, and that was a while ago, a long time ago. We should be able to put the numbers together for you much later. Take a look at the activity level of the market. Volume came in at 249.73 million. There was a bit of increase yesterday, rose by some 0.1%. That was relatively flat. In terms of the value, it came in at 2.72 billion naira, but of course that was a rise of 13.6% compared to what we had on Friday in the market. And of course, you look at that, deals was 3,122. But basically, we saw sell-offs across major counters in the market yesterday. And sectorally, if you look at the segments, you got the banking sector and of course just the oil and gas segments of the market as the two key sectors that performed positively yesterday in the market. Tells you that investors are kind of taking position in some kind of companies with good fundamentals. Zenith Bank for the banking sector, which rose some 1.72% yesterday, was able to help the banking index to rise by some 0.61%. And of course, the performance that we saw in Jaiz Bank was a major push to that number as well. For oil and gas, the major push for that was Seplat, which ended up rising by 4.16%, and that's why we arrived at 2.07%. Ethanol oil also contributed to that. We'll see that much later in the energy segment of the market. But if you look at the consumer goods segment, the industrial goods, and of course the insurance indices, these were really negative. As a matter of fact, one of the major reasons why we saw the level of decline that we saw in the index yesterday was because of the sell-off that we saw in the insurance sector. Continental Reinsurance is one of the key drivers of these losses because it declined by 10% yesterday in the market. And if you look at the market breadth of the entire market, it was positive yesterday. We saw more companies gaining. Jaiz Bank in the banking segment was one of the major firms that did the market some good.